Howdy, it's Bonnie. I have a quick ad for you. I've started podcast recording about 4 years ago. Always been on the hunt for a good platform to invite my guests and conduct the interviews. One that would allow me to have control over the audio quality and one that would assist me once issues arise. It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencaster. Log in using a browser and start recording a high quality podcast right away. Record studio quality sound and up to 4K video with a few guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencaster's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality even if the connection is unstable. Go now to zencaster.com/pricing and use my code BonniesLegends, that's BONNIESLEGENDS, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencaster paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experience I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Howdy, it's Bonnie, and welcome to another episode of Bonnie's Legends. My name is Bonnie Orbison, and today my legend is Maddy from Velvet Plume. They just released their debut album called Velvet Plume, and it's full of tracks I can't get enough of listening to. If you are into any sort of soul pop, or if you just generally into really good music, you should give Velvet Plume a listen. I'm obsessed with this song, How Could I Ever? We also talk about that song in this conversation. It was lovely to talk with Maddy about the album and how it's taken them 3 years to get to the shape they wanted to, and now they're very proud, and you can hear the passion in the album as well, like so much work and so much creativity, and as I said, passion is just audible in this album. Maddy and Velvet Plume are going on tour through Australia in these coming months as well, so check out the show notes and the show dates in the show notes, and yeah, have fun listening to this episode. I also closed last week's Stationhead session. I closed that one with How Could I Ever, obviously my favorite track right now, and so that's also my announcement that I am doing a weekly radio show. It's 1.5 hours of new music that got released that week. I try to highlight small and independent artists, but obviously I also play our favorite songs. For example, this week I will definitely play Miley Cyrus's new song. Yeah, so that's over on Stationhead. I hope you're having really fun listening to this episode, The Velvet Plume. Listen to the album, get the record, see them on tour, and yes, see you next week. Everyone listening, I have Maddy from Velvet Plume here with me. You're my legend today.
I'm so stoked to be here.
Yeah, thank you for being my guest on this podcast episode.
Of course.
We just mentioned that already, but I've been listening to you since Run, which came out in October 2021.
Yeah, it's been a while. That's so nice.
Yeah, I remember I interviewed Kyla Rain in... When did I interview Kyla Rain? I think I interviewed Kyla in 2020, actually. And so I love Pure Nowhere, and I love everything she's doing, and so she always has good music taste. Like if she posts a song in her stories, you have to add it to your
that's
playlist.
Cool. So the other half of Pure Nowhere is Abby, who is the Australian half of Pure Nowhere. And Abby, is a really good friend, and I've known her for a long time, and yeah, actually probably met her through music as well, through her coming to shows and stuff. So I'm sure that she passed on our music. So that's really, really nice.
Shout out to Abby then and
Yeah.
Kyla, because
Yeah, and
that's how.
Kyla.
Yes, I love them. They do great stuff. Yeah,
They're awesome. Their events are so, or like I've only been to the Australian half of the events,
yeah,
but they're really fun.
yeah. I think I've met both. Yeah, Abby was in Paris as well. I've met Kyla. Well, I met Kyla in 3 years ago now in Paris because I was stranded and I needed a place to crash overnight.
Oh, damn.
Yes, and Kyla and Abby were all there, the Dakota right now in that summer, and so I just met them all, which was
Oh,
nice.
that's so yeah, that's so nice. That
Yes,
sounds like yeah, that sounds very Abby.
yes, it was nice. Yeah, it was a nice memory. Well,
Gorgeous.
all right. Yeah, so I love Run, and I've been kind of getting back to listening to it again. You know, like when you rediscover an old favorite. That's how I
I
felt
love
when I was like,
that.
yeah, because I was like curious because I've been just following your career and like your music releases for the past years, and so I was like, when did it start? And it was Run, and so that was really nice to like rediscover. Yeah,
That's really nice. I feel like that song, we all really loved it. Like the band all really loved it when we
yeah,
released it, and probably it was our favorite song from that EP. But yeah, it's so interesting, like what songs do
yeah.
well. Yeah, because it's not usually the ones that you like the most or you've liked writing the most.
That's always a conversation point I hit with
Yeah.
artists. It's just like, oh, you love that song. That's funny. It almost didn't make the album or something. Like,
It's so interesting. I was just doing some track by tracks for a local magazine, and we were just talking. Like I was just talking about how one of the
yeah.
songs nearly didn't make the album, and yeah, it would have been wild if we didn't put it on there.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Well, before we dive into anything specific, really, for anyone who listens and maybe, only knows Ren or only knows a specific song of Velvet Bloom or doesn't know who Velvet Bloom are exactly, maybe you can like introduce Velvet Bloom a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So we're a soul pop outfit from like Naarm, Melbourne area. Over in Australia, and we have been a four-piece for a while, but recently we've just had a bassist come on board as
Oh,
well. And they are awesome. Their name's Jay Jerome. He's the newest member of the band. He plays bass and sings backing vocals. We have Nick Morton, who plays drums, Miguel Hutton, who plays keys and synths, and then we have Alex Marco, who is my co-producer and our guitarist, and then I sing and play guitar as well.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that. And you added now you have 5 piece, right?
we're becoming a five-piece.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of the songs from the album were written as a four-piece, but
Yes.
there's just like I don't know if you've had a listen to all of the songs, but there are a lot of tracks with just like a
Yeah.
ridiculous amount for four people to play.
Yes.
So I had to onboard someone else.
Yeah. It's I'm always fascinated. I just went to Oracle Sisters
Oh,
and
cool.
in Paris, and I seen them 2 years ago already. And back then it was just them. I think it was
Yeah.
just the three of them, and they were like balancing keys and drums. And I guess they had a drummer actually back then already,
Mm,
but they were like balancing all the bass and like who plays the keys and who plays the leading guitar and who plays the rhythm guitar. And so this time around, they all just played their instrument and had like a bassist and like I had everything in the
that's
background, which was just
cool.
I was like, wow, they have grown as well.
Yeah, and it's nice to watch someone like evolve in that way. Like, for me it'd be such a dream to have like backing vocals and a horn section. Oh my god. But
Yes.
yeah, too expensive to deal with, especially in
Yes.
Australia.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
in the future, I can see
Yeah.
it. I'm
I'm
gonna be
dreaming.
there, front row.
Yeah, when we come overseas especially.
Yeah, yeah, I'll be there. I'm known for just traveling to places to just see people that come to Europe. So
That's so nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I've also seen you've been making music since 2018. I'm not sure if that was always Velvet Bloom, but
Mm.
I'm curious if you like, or maybe with Velvet Bloom and this band, do you have a specific moment in memory where you were like, oh, this is it. This feels just right.
I mean, I think this project specifically has always been a bit of a evolution. And initially, at one point, it was called Bloom, and then we made it Velvet Bloom, and like we've had like a lot of different versions of the lineup, and yeah, now it feels like we're kind of at a comfy area. And like, you know, Alex and I do a lot of the producing and writing. And then like we bring the band in for kind of the sprinkles or like the additional
Yes.
parts. And it feels really good to write in the way that we do now. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a project that has, yeah, always really evolved. And I feel like as soon as we kind of like feel like we understand it, it kind of like takes on a new version of itself. So, which is really exciting. I think I really enjoy that part of it because I think it makes the music really interesting
Yes.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can feel it. It's almost like well, it's almost like it slips through your fingers every single time you have the
Yeah.
feeling you hold it. It just slips through your fingers again, and you're like running behind it. I mean, it can be like to everything, right? Like art
Fully.
or ourselves. We might have a grasp on our dream, but then it slips through the fingers, and we're like, oh, maybe that wasn't the initial dream.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, I think I'm so like, I used to have, like, a really specific vision for, like, you know, how I wanted things to, like, be, and I do in terms of, like, you know, outward artistic process and, like, what people see, but, like, in terms of, like, internally, I'm trying to get a lot better at just like going with it because I think that some of our favorite songs have come from it being like a lot more loose and like less thought out,
Mm,
which, yeah,
yeah.
is so exciting for us, especially when we're writing kind of a lot more as a band. You know, there's so many, like, we all have really different music tastes. Like, there's a lot of overlap as well, but there is a lot of, yeah, difference in like the music that we listen to. So,
Yeah.
you know, keeping it as loose as possible, I think, leaves a lot of room for other people to be creative, which
Yes.
is really nice.
Yeah. I feel like that's the beginning stage when you form a band, right? That like two people take the hand and they're like, okay, let's write a couple of songs, and you just kind of play it or you put
Mm,
your thing on it. But then with time, like that, I feel like that's what really makes a band is when they all come together and then they all write songs together, and it's more of a jam really than
yeah, totally. And I think like there's so many different ways like that we write, but I think in this album we've really kind of lent into like there's been quite a few songs that have come from like more improv or jam moments, which is very different to kind of like the singer songwriter stuff that I used to do. So yeah, it's really exciting. Keeps evolving.
yeah, and
Yeah,
it sounds. I mean, the album sounds lively. Like it sounds like it was. It sounds a bit like you're in the room, really, like
that's
the
really
view.
nice. That's
Yeah,
really nice. Awesome.
yeah, yeah. Because we're here because you're putting out your debut album, which is self-titled. It's called Velvet Bloom, and yeah, for us it's coming out on Friday, but for the listener, it's already out for a week. So, how are you
Yeah,
feeling?
true. I'm like, it's it's interesting. I was talking to some friends about this the other day. It's like we've been working on this body of work for like 3 years. So it's kind of like it feels like it couldn't come sooner, but also it feels like there's so much like that I have to do. Um, so yeah, I'm really just trying to um be present and like enjoy uh the time that it like is right now so that when it's released I can kind of like actually take a second and be like, wow, I'm like really proud of this thing. I feel like that's something that I'm pretty pretty terrible at doing. Like I'm kind of like cool, like finished, like on to the
Same.
next. Yeah. But no, I really want to like yeah take a moment for this one because it has been incredible. It's been really hard and painful, and there's been so many different emotions within this
Yeah.
body of work. So the release itself is going to be probably quite emotional, but also like in the best way. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And like it's an album, you know. It's not an EP. Yeah, well, an EP sort of is like an album, but it's an album has more songs on it, and
Yeah,
it feels like more official. I have the feeling. Yeah.
I completely agree. I think it's like something that most musicians like aspire to do within their career, and like yeah, it does. It feels like a really big moment, and I'm just really trying to kind of like honor that and like
Yeah.
really yeah, really be present with it, and for all of us to be able to kind of like take this and go like, cool, this is like really special and we've done this together. So yeah, I'm really excited.
I'm excited too.
Yay.
You also have a tour afterwards, so you're gonna play the songs
Mm,
live, and people are gonna probably talk with you about the album after the show. And yeah, so I feel like the schedule you have, even in the coming months, is going perfectly of just enjoying the album and sitting with it. And
mm.
yeah.
No, I'm really keen for the tour. Like we were lucky enough to get some awesome funding that makes it possible to tour
Nice.
to places that we've never been, like as a band in Australia.
Yeah.
So um, yeah, the NT up in Darwin, like that's somewhere that I think Alex and maybe Jay and Nick all have never been like in their life, and it's yeah, Miggy, like our keys player, grew up there, and it's really special. It's a really special part of the country, and to be able to get there to play a show, like it would be impossible without funding
Yeah.
for a band like us. So
Yeah.
we actually get to like record while we're on tour a few times, which is really exciting as well. Get to write some new
Nice.
music and
Yeah.
record some stuff. So yeah, that is like that's huge for us as well. Like just I think like with the way that Australia is, like the geography of Australia is like it's so sparse.
Yeah.
And so if you're like traveling, you know, for shows and stuff, it's like some of the drives are kind of like 7 hours to get show to show. If you're playing like in regional areas and stuff too. So yeah, grants make it like this grant has made it possible for us to like go to some more like regional and remote and rural
Yes.
places. So that's awesome because like you know everyone should have access to music and
Yes.
yeah, it's really really exciting.
Yeah, I have heard that from a lot of artists that tour Australia, because it's just so like the cities are also so far away from each other.
Mm.
So yeah,
And
I
like the
like that.
flights are expensive, and like I don't know, to be able to get like all the gear and stuff to
Yeah,
various places, like yeah, it's definitely tricky, but yeah,
I'm
we're so
happy
lucky
for
that we're
you.
able to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm so keen.
I'm curious, which song of the album are you most excited to play live?
That's really hard. I think like it depends on the day.
Yeah.
I think there's like a lot of different emotions that exist within this album. And one of my favorite songs from the album is called Only You. It's like 60s kind of soul feel. It's big, like, you know, big vocal moments, big organ moments. Like, it is just really, really fun. And has a really nice groove. Like, yeah, I really love that song. But I think like for all of us, we have all had a pretty significant attachment to a song called How Could I Ever, which isn't a
Mm,
single. It kind
yeah.
of feels like a deep cut, and it feels like something that will find people when it needs to. The
Yeah.
song's super heavy, like it's really emotional, and it's yeah, it's like it's a really, really big song to sing vocally. And for like all of the band, actually, there's like a lot of really big solos and like, I guess, like um, riffs and stuff that like really build on the emotion. We've been
Yeah.
playing that one for a while now. We've been playing that one probably since 20, probably around 2021. But the song has evolved since then.
Yes.
And Alex is the mixing engineer for our album, so he's so incredible and like was really able to capture that song so well because like there's so
Yeah.
much going on. So to be able
Yeah.
to mix that, like, yeah, it was he had his work cut out for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's those two songs I think I'm most excited for them to be played. Like I guess once people have actually heard them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, it's always a I feel like always it's a good challenge for the band to then play a song that has so many tracks and so much just going on live. And
Well,
so
yeah, we've
yeah.
played that like when we were a four piece. We had played that band that as a four piece without a bassist,
Yes.
which was
Wow.
pretty hard because it's like synth bass is like a pretty significant part of that song. So we ended up like Alex and Miggy shared the bass line together, and Miggy was playing on a synth bass, and Alex was playing on the octave pedal. Um, so yeah, the way that they kind of like managed that riff and like made it, they meshed basically both of their instruments together to make it seem like there was a bass there. But like,
Yes.
yeah, it was
That's
pretty crazy.
amazing.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I also like listening like again about live music. It's when you have a track like that and you listen to the studio version and then it's a yeah, it's an amazing feeling as someone in the crowd as well to like see what the I don't know. I'm more of a I love to just watch the artist just perform in a way. Like I'm the
Mm,
girl. Like when I go to an opera, I usually look into the orchestra. I don't look at them on the stage.
true. Oh, that's really cool.
And so I just most of the part like I like to groove and I obviously will dance and whatnot, but like I like to also just watch the artists do what they do.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm just a sucker for it. So it's a really nice yeah, I can't wait to like see some live video of it. Like how you're
Yeah.
doing it now with like a 5 piece. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
definitely a lot easier for
Yeah.
Nikki and Alex to like refine like their own parts and like even kind of like have, different embellishments than they would usually have. Yeah, just because there is like someone else doing those parts now. But yeah, I'm really excited.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I guess, yeah, you kind of touched upon it a little bit, but I'm curious, like, you said it's been in the work, right? This is like the debut album of Velvet Bloom. So, it feels like, I feel like what I've heard from just all the conversations I ever had with musicians, the debut album is kind of all your life comes together and like it's like the end of an era really and it's the beginning of a new era I should say. And so I'm curious like what the overall themes were because like when you
Mm,
pack your entire previous life kind of into it, um there's a lot you usually like write in the songs or you like process for it and
mm.
yeah.
I guess like with this album, like some of the earliest song that I had written for it was like back in 2019. But like, they go through changes like as you kind of like take them to other people and even just over time I think like, the vocal runs change or like, you change a chord and then like at like from, you know, 2019 to like now it's like a completely different song for a lot of the songs. But yeah, in terms of like themes that are kind of quite prevalent on this album, it's kind of very much surrounding like growth and like various stages of growth, I guess. So like, you have immense pain and like sadness and anger in songs like How Could I Ever and
Mm.
Silver Tongue, and then like you kind of come out of that with like a different perspective in songs like, I don't know, Time or Realign. And then there are like, you know, these moments of like joy and like happiness in like simplicity or in like small moments in songs like Best in You or like My Love. Um, so yeah, I feel like we wanted it to feel like there was like a pit, like a really like emotional kind of like climax. And I guess like that feels like Silver Tongue on this album. So it's like, you know, you start off, there's like a really nice sense of like security, happiness, and then maybe something happens and it kind of falls apart, but then like you kind of put it back together by the time you get to like Only You, um like through as well through Realign, I guess, which I'm probably just like saying just saying
No.
words right now, but it's like, yeah, I mean these songs like are such a big part of me. So yeah, I hope that people hear that and can really kind of like feel that, because I know that like, you know, life is like, you have these like extreme highs and these like terrible lows, and sometimes it's all at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
And it's like yeah, I feel like there has been in these moments that I'd kind of like within that 3 years of like, I guess, really refining and writing this album, um, there were like some of the best moments of my life and also some of the worst. So I feel
Yeah.
like you can really hear that in the
Nice.
songs. Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like it's also, I guess the maybe so I have a theory around like the that, you know, if we don't experience low moments, we cannot really, or we don't really realize when we have a really good one and a really
There's
happy
not an
one.
appreciation like
Yes,
for the
yes, there's a
highs.
gratitude
Yeah.
almost to it if you've been feeling low and then suddenly there's this really nice happy moment and you're like, oh my god, I haven't felt like this in ages. Yeah.
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 And like I think it's like, you know, there's a lot of terrible
Mm,
things happening in the world.
yeah.
And you know, we need to take moments to kind of like really sit with that. And music can really help, you know,
Yes.
you grieve and
Process.
like
Yeah.
process. So um and you know, at the same time you need to have songs that can like pull you out of that and like make you feel happy and make you feel like you can kind of like put in and contribute again instead of just being like stuck in a pit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I feel like
Mm.
sometimes these um like when you're sitting in a pit and you're really like feeling it, I feel like it's really nice if you have music that just sits with you there as well. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I completely agree. Like sometimes you just need to wallow,
Yeah.
and that's like a part of the process of like, you know, healing from whatever you've like experienced. So yeah, I like some some music, you know, that has helped me through wallowing. Like, you know, even like Etta James or Aretha Franklin, like Amy Winehouse. Like, got some pretty like gnarly songs. And you can kind of like sit in something that they've written and really like conceptualize like whatever you're going through, like with that song. It's like, it's so powerful. Music's amazing.
I
Yeah.
like, I mean, as we said in the beginning, you know, you don't really know which songs the listener are gonna love the most from it, but it's like
Mm,
I love that like as a listener you will, like, we will never really know what the song is really about or where the song came from the artist, and so it's really I feel like it's not almost like I don't really sometimes like asking like, oh, where did the song come from, or like what, you know, what
mm,
inspired it, because I know as a listener myself, I always just I will put my own take on it anyways, you know. I will listen to the
totally.
song, yes, or I will come back to Run, and now I feel like I'm listening to the song differently than I did for 3.5 years ago.
Yeah, and so it's like kind of I love that about, songwriting. It can take a completely different meaning in someone else's eyes, and that's like,
Yes.
that's why music's so powerful. Like some of like the songs that I've written that are like quite like sad and painful, people have been like, that is like, I love that song, like, it's so uplifting, and I'm like, cool.
Yes.
I'm so glad.
Yes.
And I've even had that with like friends of mine who are artists, where like I've kind of been like, yeah, like I love this song like for this reason, and they're like, glad you got that from this. And then like, yeah, it's really cool to like unpack like I guess like how you perceive those like lyrics, or like even like the feeling like within the instrumentation, and then like, yeah, see it flipped and go like, oh my god, that also makes so much sense. But also sometimes it's really nice to leave it like, as something that someone else can listen to and go like, cool, like this makes sense in this way for my life, and like I can connect myself to it like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
I love to kind of like keep it a little bit elusive, or even just like talk about like how I felt when I wrote it, or like
Yes.
felt when I performed it at a certain point in time, instead of like uh, kind of diving into like all of the different reasons that the
Yes.
song exists. I guess like when it's formed like over like a longer period of time, like
Yeah.
sometimes you're adding lyrics like a year later or something, and it's from a
Yeah.
completely different experience that is separate to like that first kind of feeling that evoked the emotion for the
Yes.
song. So it's like, yeah, sometimes it's like pretty disjointed, but like you can still connect to that feeling, and I think like a lot of people can still connect to like, whatever emotion it was within that like writing. So
Yeah.
yeah, music's so cool.
It is. And like as you said, like lyrics wise, I'm a writer, and so I write poetry, and I'm right now just selecting poems for my poetry collection, and it's just the funniest thing because it's I kind of try and capture the same feeling, but then there's a poem
Mm,
from 3 years ago, or I guess 4 years ago now, and then there's a poem I wrote last month, but they fit
mm,
together perfectly because they talk about the same feeling, and so it's really funny because sometimes I'm like, if the reader would know like that I wrote it, and like you read it next to each other, and you could think I wrote it like exactly like this in a row, but like there were like four
yeah,
years in between each other, which is
apart.
yeah, it's
Well,
nice, it's
yeah, because you like
interesting.
you understand the emotion, but sometimes like even with my own music, it's like it'll take on a different life at some point. Like, and it's like,
Yeah,
oh, okay, like I didn't realize I could feel this emotion when like singing this song,
yeah,
which is really cool. Like, yeah, it is always surprising.
that's even cooler. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess it's just always, life is just always happening and just moving on besides us, and so sometimes we just tap into the same thing with the same
Mm,
intention, but then we come out of something totally different. We're like, oh, okay.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, you've been mentioning a couple of legends already, really, like Amy Winehouse, Aretha Franklin. I'm curious, like, which records you, or like as a band, I mean, you said you all have different sort of tastes, but
Mm.
it overlaps at some point. So I'm curious, like, if there was any specific record or records that you like listened to while recording or making this project.
I mean, so many. I think it like with an album, and maybe like it's because it's like our first album, like
Yeah.
you listen to like you take influence from like every musical interaction that you've had like within your entire life, maybe. Or like, whatever's kind of really stood out to you. So um I guess some music that we were all, yeah, it's interesting, hey, because like I listen to music that is like very, very different to like what our drummer listens to, which is very different to like what our keys player listens to. And I'd say like there are moments, or like there is music that does make that all overlap. But yeah, in terms of like albums that we had all kind of like listened to, I guess Leanne La Harvest, and her first, or like, yeah, her debut album was like
Yeah.
a really big one for a lot of us. We're from Melbourne, like Australia, so bands like Haters Coyote, like, they weave themselves into like um, a lot of your life, really.
Yeah.
And their music is so incredible and just like next level that you can always take inspiration from like those kinds of artists. They like push a lot of boundaries in terms of genre and stuff. So yeah, like we all kind of listen to a lot of Haters Cody. Yeah, and then like the more kind of ones that were unique to me for this album, like I love Alice Phoebe Lou,
Yeah.
and had have her on high rotation kind of a lot. But also, Alex and I were listening to a lot of like Marvin Gaye and Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings. Yeah, honestly, it's like, yeah, it's pretty sparse.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it is a nice collection though. Like that's why I asked the question because I've already noticed like
yeah,
there's a like it all goes hand in hand sort of the Velvet Plume and the music. Yeah.
totally. Like our drummer's favorite, like all time favorite band is like Radiohead, and he loves like Kurt Weill and like a
Yeah.
lot of that kind of music, which is like pretty different to my taste. But it's really funny actually. Ella Thompson is like where we overlapped, and I was like, that's so interesting. I wasn't expecting
Yes.
that. But yeah, so I think he just likes music that is like surprising to him, and I guess that's where the overlap comes in. But yeah, so many artists.
You produced this record as well, and so I'm well as someone, I mean, I wouldn't compare myself to a music producer really, but I do work with audio because I do this podcast and I edit it and I mix and master the vocals in a way, right?
Yeah,
So I'm always having like I'm in awe if someone is like producing music because I know there are so many more tracks and so many more things, and it's totally different to like produce or like work the vocals than the drums, for example, or a
mm-hmm.
bass. And so, yeah, where did that like was that always did you always know you would produce this record? Like in terms of like have you produced like the Glimmer EP or
So with Glimmer, we were like working with a friend of ours called Quinn Grundon, and so I guess like in terms of like producing that, or and also actually was mixed by Edvard Harkinson as well. Um, so with that record, there was kind of a little bit more like external, input.
yeah.
And Alex and I, although we had like a huge input in like the way that the sound was, I guess like there were certain things that I think we both found it hard to express. And we
Mm.
just realized like maybe we just need to put in like the 1,000 hours. um,
Yes.
and so we did that. And yeah, like I guess the test to see if like we could do it was recording one of the tracks from the album called Realign. And we recorded it at home. Alex like learned so much through this process. Like he is such an incredible mixing engineer. I dabble, but like mixing is like not my strong suit. So it was really cool to see Alex kind of like shine through this process. Um, I'm
I
pretty,
found passion.
yeah, and like, cause he had been wanting to kind of get into the producing, mixing world for a really long time, and has always had like really incredible ideas, but has really been able to like figure out like how to execute and articulate them. I would
Yeah.
say like through the making of this album because he just had to like figure so much out by himself or like with me. And like in terms of like the like producing of like vocals and stuff, like I have a very particular vision for like how
Yes.
I want my voice to sound, and it was really cool to be able to like work so closely with Alex on those things, because like there are so many things that we like, there were so many points in the album where we had like a different opinion, and then like trying to like figure out like, okay, like, so you hear it like this and I hear it like this, and how do we kind of like mesh those ideas together, or like even just like, I don't know, to figure out like what you're happy, like what you're willing to sacrifice, I guess, like working with someone else. And like I'd say like, you know, we had pretty similar ideas for the most part in how we like heard certain parts sounding. But yeah, I guess this is the first time that we've felt really represented by like the mix and the music, and like it's because like we obviously work so closely to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
That's wonderful.
um, yeah, I am so grateful. Alex is like, yeah, absolutely smashed this. Like this is his first kind of really big body of work that he's mixed, and I think it was just incredible, like how much he kind of like put in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. I've heard that's usually the one thing I hear is that the vocals, it gives you so much like freedom in expressing like your
Mm,
vocals as well, and like you can just easily, I mean, in this, if you work with someone else, you sure can also like retake the vocals again if you're not satisfied with them, but having like the control over how it will actually sound coming out of the speakers then later, like
fully.
that's
And like
nice.
even, you know, to have the ability to record this stuff at home gave me a sense of just like comfort and like safety in like recording. Like every person that we've ever recorded with like has been so incredible, but it's just like when it's just you in a room, like I feel like you can tap into emotions, and like, you know, a song's feeling in such a deep way that maybe you can't do as much. Like I'm pretty sure like a song like How Could I Ever, I ended up recording that by myself even without Alex in there, and I think I I don't know that I would have been able to like tap into like that emotion yeah, with other people around. So yeah, I I really valued that part of this process, and I think Alex was the same. Actually, probably all of us were the same. Like we were able to really take our time with the parts that were important, instead of being like, okay, you've got 8 hours, like just smash it out. Then you could kind of be like, all right, well, we can refine this drum part for the entire 8 hours, and then we can record it tomorrow. Yeah, so I mean that's probably why it took 3 years, but we've come out with like something that we're like incredibly proud of, so that's good.
I really love um the endings, the closing track. That's how it's called, the closing track.
Oh,
I really love I
cute.
Love You Tomorrow. Yeah. It's and it is called credits because it is in a way the credits of the album, right? Like
Yeah.
it's yes. And I really love that because I usually always ask well, it's usually my last question, but I'm moving it forward because I really want to talk about the song. It's I usually always ask at the end of the episode if, you know, if you can give like the thank you credits at the end of like who worked on the LP and who you kind of want to thank. So I'm like curious how, and you like make an entire song out of it, right?
Well, yeah, I mean it's kind of like it feels like an outro, and it's really interesting how that song came about. We like there were so many iterations of Only You. We had like ripped that song apart, put it back together. Like it had, yeah, it had been so many different things. And we loved this part that we took out of it. And it was the I Love You Tomorrow was kind of like the bridge at one point for Only You.
Oh, okay.
And we had this like vision for how it was going to sound like within the song, but like we kind of just like it didn't feel like it was serving the song there.
Hmm.
And so we kind of pulled it out, and then I really missed it, and I was kind of like, I really think that, and I'm like a theater kid, like, so having a moment where you can be like, this is like the end, the finale, the like
Yes.
the final moments. And like, I guess the way that we recorded it, it is like, it's kind of like, it's cute, it's silly, it's like celebratory. And we wanted it to feel like that. Like, we didn't want it to be like a professional kind of sounding choir. Like,
Yeah.
we wanted it to feel kind of messy and like put together, and like, or strung together, sorry. This artist called Dijon on one of their albums has um the end song as like something very similar, and I had been listening to a lot of Dijon when we were
Yeah.
kind of like putting the album together, and like um yeah, like, I think their music really helped me kind of like figure out the placement for like the track list and stuff, and I
Yeah.
think that they did a really good job when they put their album together. And yeah, we kind of like wanted to pay homage to that, and then also there are so many people who are like unseen or uncredited when it comes to like writing
Yeah.
music pieces. It's like, it's the person who like goes out for a coffee with you when you're so deep in it that you
Yeah.
like, can't really think of anything else, and they like pull you out of like whatever that is. Or it's like, yeah, the people that you kind of go to, and the people who are like, supporting you through this kind of, I guess, big moment or big creation, that wouldn't necessarily be on like the credits, like on the vinyl or whatever, but like,
Yes.
they definitely have been a big reason as to why we have been able to produce a body of work like this. Even just like the experiences that you have, with these people who are so special to you, it's like you wouldn't be able to write music without those experiences. So I think we just really wanted to like invite like a big amount of, or like a large number of our friends over and just be like, cool, like, let's sing and let's show you like the final mixes of the album, and like, let's kind of just like celebrate it. And like, I think maybe I was saying before as well, like, I find it really hard to like sit in a moment and be like, I'm really proud of this, and like celebrate it. And I guess like, even now thinking about that, like, the recording of I'll Love You Tomorrow was probably like around a year ago now. So we've had like the album finished for like a year, so I'm just ready to like throw it at
Yes.
people at this point. But yeah, it's all those people that you don't like see within the creation of an album that I think like adds so much value to the music. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. It always takes a village to do something. Yeah, for sure.
Totally. And like, we're so inspired by our friends. Like, a lot of people in that room, like, they're musicians, they're creatives, or they're just like really good friends who like understand that our life is like super hectic sometimes, and like not
Yeah.
like seemingly unproductive, like at other
Yeah.
points in time when we're like recovering. But yeah, we're very, very lucky to have the people in our life that we have around. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, those friends are gold worth.
Fully. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Would you say that was also like like one of your favorite moments while recording this album? Having them all together?
Honestly, that's really hard. I think this was like definitely one of our favorite moments, but it was kind of like, that was at the end. Like, we'd mixed the whole album, we'd done all the recording. Like, I think that my favorite like studio moment was oh, the day that we put Only You together, like, finally. I think, like, as I said, it had so many different versions. We tried so many different versions, and like, it just felt like the song wasn't what it could be. And so we decided to just like have a writing day, and we weren't like planning to record that day necessarily, but we ended up just like pulling it apart, stripping it back, changing like a lot, but it just, for some reason, that day worked so well, and we ended up recording it live. And the vocal is the only vocal on the album that was recorded like one take. So um, yeah, that was like a really special moment as well, because usually I'm so picky, but I was like happy to leave it imperfect for this song for some reason. And I
That's
um
interesting.
yeah, which is something that I kind of like, I will cringe at, like, if there's like moments where I'm like, oh, I sound pitchy or whatever. But like, it felt like those moments were the things that like really served this song. So I was kind of like, awesome. Like, there's a massive note at the end. But it like bends into it in a way that like makes you feel it. And I really enjoy that about it. So yeah, probably that day was like one of my favorites. Just because we were like just so locked in,
Yeah,
and all so invested in like
finishing
making
it.
this song work. Like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely can feel like almost rewarding to like finally finish a song you've been like working and tweaking here and there. Yeah.
totally. Well, I think it was just one of those ones where we were like, we loved it so much that we like didn't want to put it out in a way that it like wasn't
Yeah.
like that it wasn't represented in the best way that it could be. Like, yeah. So I think we were all very invested in like finding like whatever the final product was going to be. But like, yeah, that song like felt special. And so I think we kind of all were like, we don't, yeah, we really want to put this out in a way that makes it as special as it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I love how well, I sometimes ask a question and sometimes I don't. And if I don't, the question would be like what your favorite track of the album is. And it's really interesting because I feel like we've been talking a lot about Only You. Would you say then Only You is your favorite track of the album because it took so much time and effort, or
It's I feel like again, it's like I think it's my favorite track at the moment.
yes,
But
nice.
I
That's what
think
I
that's also
sensed.
yeah, I've just been like I think I've been editing a video together and it was like from a show back in November and this song is in it and I was just like able to see it live
Yes,
in a way
that's
that
nice.
like yeah and in a way that like maybe like you don't like get to see yourself perform but I think we all just looked so comfy and excited to perform
Mm,
this song and I was just like yeah I love seeing that but also I think like you know My Love's been out since July last year you know, Silver Tongue has been out since I think September, and Best New was released in November, and Times
yeah,
has been released. Like I think you like have your own like you have your attachment to those songs at whatever point in time,
yes,
but yeah, right now it's only you.
yeah. Maybe because
And
it's not out yet per se, like it's only coming out now.
totally. I
Yes.
think like I have a similar connection with Nobody Else, which is the lead single.
Mm,
But it's like you know, it feels like only use a little bit more rough around the edges, and I
yes.
like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like there's definitely been like so many incredible moments in recording the album, and like it's really hard to pick just one. But I think like when I think back to like a moment where it all just like kind of felt like it was coming together, like that song I guess marked like the end of the recording process for like the
Yes.
rest of the album. So it felt
Yeah.
like maybe a big release, and we all felt like really capable to like you know strip that song apart and put it back together and feel like
Yeah.
really confident about like the song that was to come out of that session as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think I feel a connection to it in that way at the moment for sure, but it will probably change like next week.
Yeah. It's like pick your favorite child and then you're like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't.
yeah. Right now, I
Yeah.
like this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm really curious about who your legend is. I mean, as you know, we've mentioned I
Mm,
think a lot of legends in this episode already. But always curious because you're today my legend, and you're today like the entire concept of Bonnie's Legends is
yeah.
that I wanted to sit together with people that I look up to, and I'm just so creatively inspired or in awe of. And so I'm curious who that sort of legend would be for you in a sense. Like, who would you like to? I guess it's sort of the dinner question, right? If you could pick a person, dead or alive, to go on a dinner.
Mm,
Um,
it's such a hard answer. I think, like, you know, I grew up, this might be quite like different to something that you would expect from me. But like I grew up listening to a lot of Queen and Freddie Mercury.
Nice.
Um,
Same.
and yeah, I think like the theatrics and like
Mm,
the song, obviously the songwriting and like the performer that Freddie Mercury was is like um, it made me so inspired to start performing. And I think I went into theatre first,
yeah.
because I loved singing, but I also loved like the theatrics of a performance, I guess. Freddie Mercury is someone who I would love to have dinner with.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah.
um,
I that was my first I think that Freddie was the first person where I was like where I knew he was something greater than
mm,
anyone else. If that makes sense.
well, yeah,
Like as
like
a
just
child, I remember being like, "Oh, he must have been like a giant." Like that sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. Like, I remember a friend of mine got me a documentary that was like Freddie Mercury and Queen, and it just it made me aware of so many things, like crucial things that had happened in his time, like the AIDS crisis and um, how much like they kind of put in and how much they gave back to that community like was also something that I saw and I was like, well, I want to do that for people and like I want to lift people up or like make them feel, I guess, like it's like the main part of like why I write music. It's like as long as you can like access your emotions, you can feel human and you can feel
Yeah.
connected to other people and you can understand that like even if you don't have the same responses, like you can understand that they're experiencing like an emotion. And I think connection's probably like one of my biggest like reasons in life. So yeah, it's really amazing to be able to release music and hopefully make people feel connected to something or someone.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Just make people feel seen and like understood maybe. As we said,
Yeah.
you usually retreat to music if you feel like yourself cannot even comprehend really your emotions and that's why you put on a song to like
Yeah. To
make it
feel
feel.
that
Yes.
totally, and someone else can like express, I guess,
Yes.
some part of what you're feeling,
Yeah.
which yeah is really really special. And I just love music.
Nice.
Yeah, so lucky to be able to be doing it.
Yeah. I guess, we talked about the credits, but if you want to name drop anyone that has like that you haven't yet and that has like worked on the EP and on the LP or I don't know,
Yeah,
just
I
anyone you would
mean,
like to thank.
yes, hugely. I think well, Sarah and Erin are our publicists, and they've been working with us they've been working with us since Run, and they are such incredible people, and I look up to them so much.
They were amazing to
And
work with. Can I say that? They were
yeah, they
amazing to
are. They're
communicate.
the best, and they represent me really well because I, want people to feel like again really connected, and
Yes.
I think Sarah is someone who I just always am in awe of because of how she like interacts with people and how much people just love her. Like I bring her name up to anyone, they're like, oh yeah, the best. And Lisa, our manager, who's like come on board within the past like couple of years. She's been absolutely incredible. Like I, couldn't be doing all the management stuff by myself, and it's like so awesome to have someone who believes in the project in the way that we do. Yamanui Records, they're our record label who we're doing like distribution through. We haven't had a label to like we have had a label before, like an indie label, and they were awesome. But I think the music that we made maybe didn't make heaps of sense with that label. They were just like good friends of ours, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
put it out." Like,
Yeah.
and it was so incredible to work with and stuff. But Yamanui, they really, really believe in and understand the genre, and like that we're keen to kind of keep on progressing what that genre is for us. And they've been so incredible. We have felt really connected to them from like our first meeting, but I guess like also when you look at like the visual elements for like all of the songs and stuff, like Valentina Maroney, she was the photographer and editor, and she's absolutely amazing. I love working with her. She's a really good friend of mine. We worked with Catholic Guilt, who did the chainmail outfit. Two of our really good friends, Josh Davies, who also goes by Soke Prim, and Gretel Tobin helped me for like weeks to put together like that garden
Yes.
in our
It's amazing.
shoots. Yeah, and Josh was like a really big part of the creative direction with me for that, and like the concept of the world and all of that kind of stuff. Erica, who like did hair and makeup that day, she was amazing. I think we kind of wanted a look that was like um, quite feminine and bold, and not super conventional. So that was really cool to come up with like those looks with her. I feel like there's probably a million people who I could like sit here and just like talk about. But I guess like, yeah, the band is like the reason that we're able to kind of like do this. Like they're, you know, incredibly intricate tastes, and like the way that they have just like given so much of themselves to this project. Alex especially. Yeah, he's just absolutely brought this album to life in the mixing world. So that's been, yeah, just incredible.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
I love a good list of people. It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe at the very last end, just tell everyone where they can get the album. There's a vinyl to it, right?
Yes, there's a
Yeah,
vinyl.
yeah.
I did a lot of the design for the vinyl, which was really fun because it was my first time doing something like
Yeah.
that. And it was really awesome because I was really able to, like, I spent so much time on that. And in the way that, like, I don't know, we haven't really showed anyone what it looks like, but there's like collage in the middle that took me so long to make. But yeah, so there's a vinyl. You can get that via Yamanui Records. All of our tour dates are Australia only. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine. One day.
But
One day.
the one day they're all via our website. And yeah, the album itself is available on all streaming platforms as of the 28th of March. So they are probably available now.
Howdy, enjoyed listening to this episode. You know the gist, you know what to do. Make sure to subscribe and share this episode with all of your friends and leave a review so more people can tune in to my conversations with my legends. This podcast episode is hosted, edited, and produced by Bonnie Orbison. Support her continuous work on her paid Substack, which is like an online diary, and she shares her poetry and lyrical essays on there, or get one of her books. Right now she has 2 fictional novels in German and English out, and now, as well, a poetry collection called Pretty Tennessee. This podcast is managed by the Queer Lounge, and the theme song is by Evie Solis. Video clips of this episode and anthems of the day on our Instagram at Bonnie's Legends, and we're also sharing from Monday to Friday daily the new music releases, so make sure to check that out. This episode is sponsored by Zencaster. Use my special link in the show notes to save 30% off your first month of any Zencaster paid plan. See you next time.